Bam. Shit, fuck it. Just gonna fuck a timer on this. I'll at least put a timer on just for like the sake of it. Right. So, just gonna start off the video by saying two things that if my throat sounds like it's a little bit more raw or raspier than usual, that is because I went to a gig yesterday for Electric Callboy, pictured here, just so you got your references. And yeah, I may have spent a lot of the night just screaming along to a lot of the songs on there. So if my throat sounds a bit weird, then I'm sorry about that. And also, yes, I am going to do this video while wearing a blanket. Fuck off. You know, I'm going to get rid of OBS. Well, I'm not going to get rid of it, I'm going to minimize it, because then I just spend all my time staring at that screen instead of staring at you guys. But yeah, mostly I'm just going to be talking a little bit about Lies of P, because holy shit, that was a game that caught me by surprise. I remember when the demo first came out, and I gave it a try, and this was during a time where I decided to take a little bit of a back step away from streaming because, well, various reasons. Not the need to get into it, but being the Souls boy that I am at heart, I decided to give Lies of P a try when I heard that the demo came out, and initially didn't like it. I didn't really like it because the windows for the parrying just felt a little bit off, and rolling most of the time, or dodging or scooching, whatever you want to call it, just felt very, very ineffective. But eventually it came out, the full game came out, and I didn't really have any interest in it. And I got Game Pass one weekend when I had a bit of a craving to play some Gears of War, of all things. And I noticed that it was on there. I noticed that it was actually on Game Pass. So I was like, hey, you know what? Let's give it a whirl. Let's give it another crack and see how it is. I'll give it one, maybe two streams, and just see how I feel about it. And ended up playing it for at least 3 or 4 weeks, just streaming it the whole time. Sometimes in my own time as well. Like, I tried doing like a no leveling run of that game, and turns out, shock horror, it's actually quite hard, especially when you're not using a lot of the throwable stuff that you have. That can really change up some of the fights. But yeah, decided to give it a couple of goes on stream, and just ended up absolutely falling in love with Lies of P. I think it is the closest thing that Souls-likes have come to of being like of a similar quality of a FromSoft game. Like, if you told me that FromSoft made this game, I would have probably believed you. It's that goddamn good. But yeah, like, I'm not gonna get too heavy into the story to start with, because I know that when it comes to these games, the biggest question, including myself, is how's the combat? How does it feel to play? How are the bosses and stuff like that? So I'm gonna kind of start off with that before getting into like maybe a little bit of the story and stuff like that. But I think the story is good. I do like the story for it. I'm still a little bit lost on some of the details and some of the things that happen, so I'm probably going to end up watching a video at some point that explains it to me, because I'm dumb gamer brain. I don't know, maybe fucking Vati video or something like that's already got something going. That's like explaining all like the side stories and like a general idea of the main story. But I got a pretty good idea of what the main story is about. So, for your gamers that don't know, imagine Lies of P is kind of like if Sekiro and Bloodborne just had a little bit of a wet and wild weekend, had a few too many drinks, out and about in Italy, and then they just decided to just make a baby that night and then just spend the rest of their lives in Italy. That's what Lies of P is. It feels more like closer to Bloodborne than it is with Sekiro, but it just does some things that I honestly think just kind of make it better. The best thing that I can think of is that not dissing Sekiro at all, because I love Sekiro. I think it, out of all of the FromSoft games, that's the one that has the combat that just feels the best. You feel epic and you feel like an actual badass when you play Sekiro, and especially when you finish it. God damn it, I cannot describe the amount of rage that was brought to me by fighting Sword Saint Ishin over and over and over again, and I think to this day it remains one of the few times that I was legitimately angry on stream. But it's still a fantastic game, but the kind of place where Sekiro starts to stumble is that it loses a lot of people with how difficult and how much of a learning curve the actual combat itself is, because anybody that's played that game will be able to tell you that you are kind of forced to learning how the game wants you to play that game. If you don't learn how to parry, you don't learn how to do those timings and stuff, there's not a lot of wiggle room for you to get through most of the game. It's going to be a very hard ride for you unless you learn how to parry. And I think the thing that sets Lies of P apart is that, yeah, parrying is an option, and it's actually a very, very good option in this game, but there's just some attacks where maybe you just can't get the timing right of it, maybe you just can't figure it out, and instead of just timing the parry, you can just time the dodge instead. So you can just dodge right through some attacks, and then get in some attacks of yourself if they're still like on a wind down, or they've got like a little bit of space after that attack, if you get what I'm saying. So it kind of allows you to play the game like it's Sekiro or like it's Bloodborne. So it's kind of up to you. Some attacks are just straight up better if you just try to dodge through them. Some attacks are just way better if you just learn the timing. There's one boss near the end that I can think of particularly who had a very well telegraphed attack that if you just get the timings right on those parries, you can do a hell of a lot of posture damage. But speaking of posture damage, that's kind of the next thing that goes into it, because that is something that I ended up... Excuse me. God damn, them fish and chips are coming back real quick. Yeah, British guy eating fish and chips, lol, I know. But yeah, posture is a thing that I ended up taking advantage of quite a lot in my playthrough, because it was also a little bit of the bane of my existence, if I'm being honest, because just like Sekiro, if you start parrying enough, and if you start getting in enough of those attacks, and especially those strong attacks, then you have the opportunity to stagger them, and then you can basically get what I guess you would call like a visceral hit. And that's great. That's great, and that's something that I ended up taking advantage of quite a lot in the playthrough, but it still kind of makes you work for it, even though when you've done that, because like Sekiro, as soon as you broke their damage, bam, just walk up to them. That's a big that's one of like their little stages down, you know, because they got those little red dot things that are underneath the health bar. But in this one, it still makes you work for it. The health bar is still as it is. You still need to just deplete that health bar. Ain't another one gonna pop up at some random time. But as soon as you get like that stagger, and then you see like the white flashing around the health bar, that means that they're ready for it, but you still need to go in there and find your time to hit them with a charged R2 or a charged RT, whatever your sexual preference is. And then that's the thing that gets them into the stagger. So it just makes you work for every inch of that health that you can get. Even like with some of the cooler abilities, like you get things that are like fable arts. So just think of like weapon arts in Elden Ring or something like that, or Dark Souls 3 is another good example as well. You get like this little blue bar that's underneath your health bar, and then as you just like keep on attacking and attacking, that bar goes up and up and up. And then some of the abilities, like, it mainly seems to be two from what I've seen of the very little weapons that I've used in that game, at least, because I'm very much a guy of, oh, I found this weapon that I like, I'm gonna just level this up as much as I can and get it upgraded as much as I can. That's a thing. But each weapon ends up having like their own fable art, and like I said, I've only really seen two different ones where it's like you get a bit of a buff for a certain amount of time on your weapon, or usually if you let it like fill up completely or fill up like a certain number of bars, then you get like some super special attack which not only can deal like a hell of a lot of damage in one go, if you use it at the right time as well, that can be the thing that you can use to stagger them when they've got the white health bar, because then right after you've done that damage, they're now staggered, and then you can go in and get a hell of a lot more damage on them added on top of what you already just did with your fable art. Sorry, I put my hand right in front of my mouth as I was saying that sentence because I had an itchy nose. Oh god. Who gets allergies in the middle of winter anyway? I'm literally sat here with a fucking blanket on and my nose is just giving me all sorts of problems. So yeah, I think in that respect, like, while it borrows from like a couple of elements from both Bloodborne and Sekiro, it kind of feels like that it takes like the best of both worlds, but introduces a couple of things of their own, which is a kind of interesting way to do it. Another thing worth mentioning, which I think was also pretty cool in this game, was kind of like in Bloodborne. Usually if you block, like, there's two different types of blocks basically. A perfect parry means that you got it right at the right time, which means you do damage to like their poise, I guess you would call it, and you also just take no damage from it because you timed it perfectly. However, guarding is still an option in it, and the second version of it is that you've blocked the attack, yes, and it does take away some of your health, and it also does like decreases your stamina bar as well. But it's like a grayed out version of that red, and that works kind of like the rallying in Bloodborne, where like you can just go in there and get that health back by doing some more damage and being a bit more aggressive. But because of the amount that it is, and because of the way that the boss fights are, it kind of it encourages you to be more aggressive. But like with Bloodborne, as soon as you see that health bar, you just kind of go in and just be like, and then just like get all that health back. But it feels different to when you're doing it in Lies of P. I can't really quite explain exactly how it feels different, but there is a little bit of a notable difference between how it feels. So like, it's kind of playing it like Seki, but it's kind of playing it like Bloodborne at the same time, which kind of makes it feel like it's its own thing. So like, don't go into this like expecting to play it like it's Bloodborne. Don't go into it kind of expecting to play it like it's Seki. Just go in and just treat it like you're playing Lies of P. Like, use everything that it gives you to your advantage, and just try and figure out like what works best for you as well. So yeah, there's that kind of side of it as well. Actually, hold on. My neck also really fucking aches. God, this first video I'm going to be acting like a fucking old man. My neck actually really hurts too, because I was headbanging a little bit, so my neck has been in pain, and it really doesn't help that I have an office job either. So I've spent most of the day like leant forward at a desk. Oh god, that feels good though. The other thing as well that that Lies of P I think does really, really well is it introduces a mechanic which I haven't really seen before, especially in a Souls game, where any of the weapons that you get, except for like exceptions of like a boss weapon or something like that, that's something that's already fucking ridiculously strong, you can separate most of the weapons in this game into two sections, so like the blade and the handle, which does some really cool things because it not only affects what sort of damage you start doing to a boss, it completely changes how the weapon behaves as well. So something could work really well. It's like the best one that I've seen. I saw somebody using this the same night that I beat Lies of P myself. Was that she separated two weapons. One was the handle from a dagger, so you get like that nice quick movement that you would expect from like a small little dagger. Dagger, that's the word. But instead of like the blade sticking out the top, she had like the top half of like a wrench weapon that was on there, which means you get that speed, but you also get that wrench, so you get the strength out of that weapon. The one that I went with, I liked the sword that I started with a lot. I think I went for like the dexterity starter weapon at the beginning, because you get like 3 different options at the beginning, and I think I went for the one that's all the way on the left. I think that's the dexterity one. Please don't quote me. But I ended up separating that weapon out because later on I found I think it was like called the Booster Glaive or something like that, and it was like a really cool heavy weapon that when you used the ability on it, it kind of like fired you into the boss, which was fucking cool. And I also really struggled with that boss. That guy was a prick. His name's like Fuko, but I pronounced it Fucko once, and now I can't stop. So his name is Fucko now. I don't care. Fucko the clown. Honk honk. But yeah, I ended up really liking the blade that was on that weapon because it did a lot of damage, but I wasn't so keen on how much slower my movement was, because I'm usually the kind of guy that likes to go for fast weapons. So I ended up taking the blade off of that, putting that on the starter handle, and then bada boom, bada bing, I had a quite strong weapon. That was also quicker, and it was it went with the moveset that I'd grown comfortable with right up until that point of the game. So kind of had like the best of both worlds situation going on. So that was really cool. That was cool. I liked that a lot. That was pretty cool. Yeah, that's something pretty cool that the game does. Bosses wise, next, the bosses in this game are great. The bosses in this are just absolutely fantastic. Like, bosses are usually one of like the bigger points when it comes to games like this, for me at least. And yeah, there was some really good ones. In my opinion, there was like a little bit of a lull in the middle point, because not to get into like spoilers or anything like that. I mean, spoiler alert here. If you don't want to know anything about this game before going in, then get the hell out of here. Although, even if you were avoiding spoilers, you probably wouldn't click on this video anyway, so I don't know why I'm doing that. But still, spoilers for Lies of P. There's a stage where, like, at the beginning of the game, a lot of the bosses that you come across are puppets. Like, big puppets that have basically gone crazy and started attacking people and shit. And in the middle of the game, they reintroduce 2, maybe 3 bosses, I think, off the top of my head, who were just, oh, it's the same boss as before, but now this one's infected. But you still recognize a lot of the move sets, the ones that you've already learned from the first time you did the fight. So I thought that was a little bit of a downer on that. And then there's another boss later on which I just don't mind telling you, just fuck that boss. I hated it. It took me ages because it is a tricky fight, but it just feels quite cheap because it's basically like a gank fest, like not quite the levels of Dark Souls 2 Gank Squad. Still the worst boss in any Souls game. I'll fight anyone who says differently. That boss can also go fuck itself, but it was also one that we'd already seen. We'd already seen that fight at one point already as well, so that part felt a little bit cheap to me as well. So I feel like they kind of fucked it up a little bit in the middle with that sort of stuff, but it pulled it way back later on because some of the bosses later on in the game were pretty fucking good. They were a lot of fun to fight. I really appreciate a lot of the later stage fights. Even like one of the opening ones, like it was a boss that was actually in the demo, so you may know this one already. The Abandoned Watchman or something like that. Big police guy, looks like a werewolf kind of, and is like all electrified. That's still like top 3 boss for me. Like, I just really liked that fight. It was cool. It was a cool fight. The other 2 I definitely won't mention because then it does start to get into like spoilery sort of areas, and I don't really want to do that to somebody if they just want to have like a nice open, fresh, no knowledge playthrough. I don't want to take that away from anybody. But yeah, the boss fights in this game are just absolutely fucking solid for the most part. They're a lot of fun. They're really good. Oh god, I said I was going to talk about the story last, but the other thing that I just need to mention in this is the music. The music in this game is just, God, just give me a vinyl. Give me a vinyl of it, please. I got a vinyl player right there. Just please let me have a vinyl of this game soundtrack, because like, I don't want to talk shit about like FromSoft's soundtrack because I do think it's good, and especially when it comes to Gurman with like the Moonlight Greatsword and stuff like that, because that song I will listen to any day of the week. But for the most part, when it comes to Souls games at least, I feel like the music is only really good when it comes into the context of the fight. Like, I'm not going to sit here and listen to Bloodborne's soundtrack as it is. I'm never going to sit here and listen to Dark Souls 3 soundtrack as it is. That's just me. If you don't like that, then sieve, mold, cope, I guess. I don't know why I said that. I never say that shit out loud. Sounds kind of cringe. But just the music in this game just does not miss. It does not miss. There's one particular track in there called Feel, which I ended up really liking. Like, I've listened to that a couple of times in my own time because I just really, really appreciate that song, and all of it just like fits the atmosphere so well. Like, I could see fully all of those songs like being listened to by a lot of the NPCs and some of the characters that are out in the world. I could see everybody listening to that, and I'm there with them because I was like, whenever I found like a new record when I was out and about in my adventures, I would always go back to the hotel just so that I could hear another fresh song. And oh my god, the music in this game is just so fucking cool. I really love it. Please, if anybody out there who made Lies of P is some fucking reason watching this, please, just please give us a vinyl of it, because I would buy it in a heartbeat. I would love to have all of those songs on a soundtrack, all on a vinyl together. That would make me so happy. But yeah, I guess I'll talk about the story next. The story in this game it's like what everybody says. It's like, imagine if Bloodborne basically Bloodborne with puppets. That's like the best way that I've seen people sum it up. But I think it does something really great because, like, I'm not, like I said again, I don't want to talk shit on the FromSoft games or anything like that because I love all of them, and Bloodborne is it's tied with Lies of P at the moment. I'm not gonna lie, but Bloodborne was my favorite game for ages before I'd finally played Lies of P. I think Lies of P may have just like taken over Bloodborne a little bit for me, but to get back to the point, a lot of the FromSoft games, like when you're doing like side stuff with like NPCs and things like that, a lot of the time it's just a little bit hard to follow some of those storylines. I mean, I guess like I know what people say, oh yeah, just read descriptions and stuff like that. That's all you got to do. You got to read descriptions for everything you find, read everything for the weapons. Not many people do those things. Not many people do those things. Yeah, I could probably argue that I did that a lot with Lies of P, but that's because it had quite a clear story that it wanted to tell. It knew the story that it wanted to tell, and it wanted you to see all of these things. It wanted you to talk to all the characters. It wanted you to do these little quests and stuff that they give you along the way. Like, not like the side quests are like anything extravagant. Like, don't get me wrong, they're not the best side quests in the world. I ain't saying that, but they at least give you some direction of at least where you want to go. Like whenever you go to like the map menu, you can see like the little things next to the area so that you know where you need to go if you want to like continue a character's like side story or something like that, or if like a little side quest that you found. Some are definitely better than others. There's one that I thought was a little bit out there. There was like a friendly robot that I was talking to a lot of the time that wanted to learn about emotions and stuff. And there was another one. Yeah, there was one that I wasn't too hot on the first couple of times I found him, but as I just eventually progressed it, because like it did benefit me to do them, because there was like upgrades and weapons and shit that I can get from doing those, so I carried on doing it. But then it ended up kind of making a little bit of a comeback at the end, because it revealed something that was pretty cool to find out towards the end. Like I said, I'm trying to be vague because I don't, like I said, I want to make sure that if anybody's watching this that hasn't played it yet, that you have like a nice like fresh experience, and you can experience it all for yourself, because that's the way I like to do things anyway. But yeah, the story is basically you are a puppet that was created by Geppetto, but you're a special kind of puppet, because a lot of the puppets, well, all the puppets really that are made, have like these basic laws that they're supposed to follow, a la iRobot style kind of situation, where like robots shall not kill, robots cannot lie, and then shock horror, all those things happen and bad shit starts happening. I can't remember all of the Grand Covenant rules, but I do remember that 2 of them was no lying and no hurting humans. I think one of them was like, you always have to obey your master. Whatever your master tells you, if you're a puppet, you have to do it. No, nobody have any dirty thoughts with that situation. So yeah, all the robots like go crazy and start like attacking people, and then the city becomes under siege, and then everybody like locks themselves in their houses to be safe. But then it like switches up a little bit as well, because along with the puppet frenzy, there's also like an infection that's being spread by like these dudes called the alchemists, who basically created like people that are infected. They act kind of like zombies, but they're just like, they're infected with like some shit that's been made. And I think it's, I think it is, now that I think about it a bit more. I didn't think it was a bit of a thing when somebody mentioned it to me before, but when I thought about it, really, I was like, that's probably one place where the game is lacking a little bit. Like, the enemies that you fight do get a little bit repetitive. It's like, oh, here's the puppets because this area would have puppets in it. Oh, here's the infected people because this is the area that would have the infected peoples. And it just, like, outside of a couple of variations, because they make like some bigger versions of puppets and bigger versions of the infected and stuff like that. Like, they add a couple of different ones just to like catch you off guard every now and again and get you thinking about a new enemy and sort of stuff. But I don't think the enemy variety is quite as good as it is for a Souls game. And I completely lost my fucking train of thought there. What was I saying? What am I doing? What's going on here? I'm not even playing it up now. I generally forgot what I was just talking about. Yeah, I don't think the enemy variation is all it's cracked up to be. There's my alarm to tell me that I've been rambling on about this game for about 30 minutes now. God, I really have lost my track. So yeah, that's kind of one of like the little stumbling blocks that I have with it. The other one that I kind of have is that it goes more along the route of a Dark Souls 1 sort of level design rather than a Dark Souls 3 level. Bend down, flip it, and reverse it. To quote that goddamn song. I mean, it goes more towards a Dark Souls 3 level design than it did a Dark Souls 1 level design, because it's like it's very linear in where you go to next. So it's always like you work through this area to get to the next fight, and then you just carry on going from that one to get to the next fight, and then every now and again they'll like give you some reason to like go back to the hotel. They get you to go back to the hotel to do some shit or whatever happens. So they're like, oh fuck no, you need to come back to the hotel right now, kind of thing. And that's about it. It's just different ways out of the hotel that just lead you on a linear track until you get to the end of that particular track, and then you're back at the hotel, kind of thing again. I think it would have been a lot cooler if they'd made the worlds interact with each other a little bit more, because then that could like open up a case of why there'd be like a little bit of enemy variety in different places, but also kind of like that feeling of in Dark Souls 1 where you keep finding these different routes that lead you back to Firelink Shrine or places that you didn't even realize were there because of just how interconnected that game. It was kind of missing that thing of, oh shit, this leads back to this area. Oh god, I didn't even realize that. Like, I think it caught me by surprise once that one place was linked to another, but there wasn't a whole lot of that interconnectivity. But like, these are very minor complaints in the grand scheme of things, because Lies of P was a absolute experience and a fucking joy to play. I had so much fun playing Lies of P. Like, I think I've played maybe 2 different games in the whole time, and I didn't even finish them. I played like 2 different games in that time. I played Dark Souls 1 to do like a fun different stream because I just felt like being a little bit goofy one day. But there was also another day where we were doing like a charity event to like play Hollow Knight, and as soon as Hollow Knight was done, I was straight back into my separate save for Lies of P. So it just really took over for a while, and I don't think it's going to go anywhere just yet because there's like some challenge runs that I want to do. I'm kind of interested in seeing what a deathless run of that game would look like. I think that would be cool. And I also kind of want to lean more into like the playing around with different weapons and movesets kind of thing. I have an idea of literally rolling a dice to select what blade and what handle I'm going to use for like different areas and different boss fights. I think that could be like a really fun thing to try out, to really get like, it'll be difficult because, you know, eventually it's going to be like, hey, beat this boss with this piece of shit weapon that I've just created thanks to a dice roll. I think that could be good fun to do. I think that could be really I think that could be a cool thing to do. Another thing I forgot to mention about the splitting up of the weapons, but like, you know, kind of like where you've leveled up a weapon a lot in Souls, and then you find another weapon that you like, and you're like, oh, I want to level this up, but I've already put all of this resources into this weapon that I'm using, so I'm just going to keep using this. Because of how you can separate the weapons in Lies of P, you can keep the blade that you've been upgrading, but you can change out the handle and just completely change how it behaves as well. I think that's really cool, because then you can still get the change that you're looking for, but you haven't wasted your time by putting your like resources into this one weapon. I swear I just thought of something else that I really liked about it too, that made it fun. Just little quality of life things, I think, really. So like that classic move of you know, sending the elevators down or back up to wherever you're going in Dark Souls 1 and Bloodborne, they kind of just bring them back themselves. I think that was something that was pretty cool. Weapon durability is a thing that I usually hate in games, but I liked how it was done in Lies of P, because it was something that you kind of have to think about. It's so like you got like this little grindy arm thing. You got like a little grinder in like the elbow of your arm, because you got like a prosthetic arm. Another reason why it's like Sekiro, huh? And you can like repair your weapon just mid-fight, and sometimes you really have to, especially in like some of the fights where you've got like decay, because then it not only poisons you and starts bringing your health down, it also like really starts to send down your weapon durability, so you kind of have to fix it while you're in a fight, which adds like another thing that you need to kind of try and focus on in the middle of these fights. In some of them it's not a problem, you don't really have to worry about it, but there was quite a few where you did have to think about weapon durability as well. So yeah, that was an interesting way of actually getting me to kind of like the idea of weapon durability, because I usually hate that shit. Zelda, any Zelda fan out there, please tell me that that game would be not so much better if you didn't have to worry about these swords that were literally made for fighting, that would break in just 2 or 3 swings. Like, you tell me it wouldn't be better if that game didn't fucking have the shittiest made swords ever. I'm trying to think of like some other stuff that it does. I'm trying to think of like some other stuff in there that I liked. I mean, there's a gold tree thing where you can like update this cube thing for like summoning specters, because you can like summon in like NPCs to help you in boss fights. But I didn't use those personally, because I like doing boss fights just me the first time around. So I guess maybe I could start messing around with summons as well, just to see what they do, but I've not heard good things. I've heard they basically are just there to draw the boss's attention rather than actually help you out in a fight. Anything else I can think of? No, I think that's it really. So I'm just gonna quit with the rambling for now, but yeah, I just had some thoughts about this game that I just really wanted to get out there in some way, and I thought, hey, this would be the best way to do it. Was it good? Was it bad? Did you like this? Would you like something maybe a little bit more scripted? I don't fucking know. Leave a little comment down below just to tell me about it. I'm not doing it for engagement, I swear. I'm genuinely interested if you kind of like this, or you just wanted something a little bit more, I don't know, fucking scripted and well thought out. But yeah, I was only really doing it just because I had a lot of thoughts about this game, and it has like been in my thoughts a lot since I've been playing it. And yeah, it probably is the game that finally took down Bloodborne on my top 1 spot. Bloodborne, I'm sorry, you're still very pretty. I still love you. I still love you. This is great, but I like this. I don't know if I should keep that in the video or not. Maybe I'll actually put the meme in there. That would be kind of funny. But yeah, thanks for listening to me just talk about this game for a little bit. Feel a bit like an insane person just sat in my room for the last 30 or 40 minutes just talking about this game. But yeah, if you like the video, then leave a like. If you don't like the video, maybe leave me a comment. I promise I won't read it if you're being mean to me. I'm kidding, I will. Constructive feedback is good. Yeah, thanks for watching.